Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and good evening, everyone. This is Zishan Isaac with Zishan on air every Sunday from 6 p.m. and onward. And without further ado, we would take you into our key topics today, as well as analysis over the various types of news and developing news that is happening not only in our country, the United States of America, but also all over the world. And I report, you decide. That's the whole idea because we all have our own opinions and we also have our own facts. Hopefully, universal facts. Those are more important to live a very simple and straightforward life. But at the same time, during the legacy session of the program, or I would say the legacy uh, radio, we will take some calls on air as well. But with the social media audience, people who may would like to share their comments, they can always do that through the platform, social media platforms like Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. So with that, the very first information that is arising this past week is coming from the state of California, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, he said very clearly that we are suing Donald Trump. Why is he suing? Because according to him, he is suing Trump over the National Guard deployment. And he said, quote, President Trump is deploying 300 California National Guard personnel into Oregon, end of quote. The governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek, she mentioned 101 arrived last night with more on the way. And at the same time, Governor Newsom also said, quote, breathtaking abuse of the law and power, unquote. So California sues Trump over National Guard deployment. Now, NBC News has reported federal judge pauses Trump's deployment of National Guard to Portland. Earlier Sunday, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he would sue, as you indicated, and he did sue, and it federalized 300 California National Guard troops because those National Guard troops of California were federalized. Then, in a rare late Sunday night virtual hearing, U.S. District Judge Karen Immergut granted the motion for temporary restraining order filed by the state of California, which asked her to prevent the deployment of up to 300 members of the California National Guard to Portland. The decision from Immergut, a Trump appointee, came a day after she blocked President Donald Trump's attempt to deploy Oregon National Guard troops in Portland. So that's basically what's going on. Then she condemned the move, saying, and this is the Oregon's governor, and she said, quote, the facts haven't changed. There is no need for military intervention in Oregon. There is no insurrection in Portland, no threat to national security. Oregon is our home, not a military target. Oregonians exercising their freedom of speech against unlawful actions by the Trump administration should do so peacefully, unquote. So the Texas National Guard are also involved, and the governor of the state of Texas, Governor Abbott, he basically is participating in providing Texas National Guards to the deployment of National Guard troops by the federal government to other states. And Abbott, a Republican, said on X that he, quote, fully authorized the president to call up 400 members of the Texas National Guard to ensure safety for federal officers, unquote. Quote, you can either fully enforce protection for federal employees or get out of the way and let Texas Guard do it, unquote. Abbott said, quote, no guard can match the training skill and expertise of the Texas National Guard, unquote. So the states are now involved with this political aspect of when to deploy, when not to deploy, who to deploy, and then Pritzker and Kotek, both are governors of two different states, Illinois and then Oregon, respectively, called on Texas Governor Greg Abbott to withdraw any support for that decision. So the governors of different states are having this argument with regards to the deployment of National Guards in their states. And Hexet also is involved with this, and he said on October 4th, 2025, the president determined that violent incidents as well as the credible threat of continued violence are impeding the execution of the laws of the United States in Illinois, Oregon, and other locations throughout the United States, unquote, Hexet wrote. The memo was included in a court filing by the Oregon Attorney General's office in the Oregon National Guard case Sunday night. So this is another developing news, and we need to keep an eye on it because this is important because we are talking about the National Guard's deployment, and we're also talking about the violence as the Secretary of War, as President Trump changed the name of the Department of Defense to Department of War, and he has now become Secretary of War. And at the same time, the other governors, Pritzker from Illinois and then Kotak from Oregon, both governors, they basically are saying there's no insurrection, there's no threat to national security. So completely two opposing point of views, and that's where the nature of the politics is in the United States, very polarizing. As you can see here, National Guard deployment moves ahead in Illinois after judge declines the state's suit to block Trump call-up. This is from Chicago Tribune, and then you can see some other pictures with 300 members. Now, amongst these deployments of National Guard and amid this whole transition from a National Guard to the states' guards and what have you, and other states getting involved, Express has reported Russia mocks Donald Trump's America. Quote, civil war is coming in U.S., unquote. Now, our foes, and in simple English we say enemies, are poking fun at us. And here the Russian lawmaker said, we should take advantage of their existing differences. We should drive them not only to an economic shutdown, but a political one, unquote. So this is where a lot of people are scratching their heads, who are independent thinkers, who think for the United States of America, and they do not want to think as the blue states or the red states. They want to think as the United States, regardless of political ideology or political parties one may belong to. And this is what's happening. And here you can see very open argument that is being laid out by, quote, we must now start calling this what it is, Trump's invasion, unquote, wrote Pritzker, a Democrat. And he further said, quote, it started with federal agents. It will soon include deploying federalized members of the Illinois National Guard against our wishes, and it will now involve sending in another state's military troops, unquote. And then Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, a Democrat, confirmed that some of the troops had flown into Oregon on Saturday night and said, quote, it is our understanding that they are more on the way today, unquote. And here you can see the picture, a federal law enforcement agent with a paintball gun in a turret. This is where you can see all these protests that are happening, and the peaceful assembly and that protest is the right of every U.S. citizen because it's guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. And here demonstrators are also protesting, quote, free Palestine, unquote, and then no troops. And then you can see some pictures and even very interesting things that are happening, which the mainstream media will never tell us about the actual ground reality unless you tune in to the local news stations or you talk to the people who are on the ground and covering news coverages, maybe independent journalists. So this is where DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, who touched down in Illinois Friday morning, called Chicago a, quote, war zone, unquote, during an interview Sunday with Fox and Friends Weekend. And then some more pictures, as we can see. In a staggering appearance on Russian state TV, he claimed differences between the two U.S. political parties are entering a phase of being impossible to resolve, unquote, and the Kremlin should interfere, quote unquote. He said that he doesn't treat claims that a civil war in America is coming, unquote, as a conspiracy theory, unquote, in reference to the Republican Democrats. He said, quote, they are currently using political repressions against each other in the most proactive way. And then this politician also said we should further pit them, the Republicans and Democrats, against each other, unquote. Mr. Lorogofoy, I don't know how you spell his last name, but he's on this topic. And then There are others, and even Putin is also on this topic. A Russian lawmaker has claimed civil war is brewing in America, as he called Donald Trump, quote, dumb, unquote. Andrei Lugobov, an MP in the State Duma, the lower chamber of Russia's parliament, claimed Moscow should take advantage of Republican Democrat divisions, quote unquote, and cause a, quote, shutdown, unquote. He said Russia should plant, quote unquote, its people into US domestic life, and that he was deeply convinced of putting people into the Democrats. Imagine this. So this is where we as Americans should take extreme caution in terms of engaging in a political divisiveness. We should call out all those politicians, regardless of the political party they belong to, if they are continuing to divide people, because we are not going to get into this tactics of America's enemies who are openly saying, oh, this is great. And now they are saying it without any repercussions or any political backlash, because you're directly interfering into the politics of the United States of America. And they don't even know that, yes, as Americans, we openly debate. It's an open society. And in an open society, we will continue to see different types of arguments being debated very openly. That's the hallmark of a democracy. However, democracy is definitely at risk, and the United States Constitution is at risk, as many constitutionalists and even constitutional lawyers and people who belong to very prestigious academic institutions, as well as those who care deeply for the country. And it's not a matter of who is a patriot, who is not, or who is a nationalist, who's not. It's just common sense. And this is where we are. India wants to lure back its best minds after H-1B visa chaos, but it won't be easy. And this is where that $100,000 fee on new visas has now pushed India to think about they need to bring some of the talent back. And obviously it would be difficult because the US economy is struggling, and then the companies, they have to really convince their shareholders or even their boards that why they want to keep a foreign worker, which is a temporary visa program, H-1B, nothing to do with those people, whoever is on H-1B. It's just a matter of if we have enough talent and pool, or if we can train or retrain people in America, and we already have a lot of graduates in this particular field in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and computer science, and MIS, and what have you, then, and even in high schools as well. So that temporary shortage has been now fulfilled. So this is where the policy is shaping up different things all over the world. For example, in fact, even if the US tightened its H-1B visa regime, countries such as Germany immediately laid out the red carpet for Indian skilled migrants, with its ambassador pushing the country's credentials as a, quote, predictable and rewarding destination, unquote. So talented people, or whoever has talent, they always have a lot of opportunities. And this is where people who are on temporary visa programs, they have to think about themselves and with their families as well. Or you want to live a high risk life where if you get laid off or because of economic shutdown, and then obviously there would be very few companies who would be even willing to accept H-1B visa holders. That's an individual and family to family and individual by individual decision. So this is what's happening with regards to that news. And then in Bangalore, some people are going back, and then especially people who have left country many years ago. For example, Nitin Hassan gave up $1 million job at Meta in the US to return to India. And now he was he's been in the US for the last 20 years, but took a leap of faith and decided to move back to Bangalore, which is Bangalore actually, often called India's Silicon Valley, last year. And it wasn't an easy call. He quit $1 million job at Meta, the parent company of Facebook, to plunge into the uncertain world of startups. Quote, I've always wanted to start something of my own, but my immigration status in the US limited that freedom, unquote, Mr. Hassan told the ABC. Since his return, Mr. Hassan has launched 2 startups, including a platform called B2I, Back to India, that helps other Indians settle in the US, quote, navigate the emotional, financial, and professional challenges of returning home, unquote. So this is what's happening. And then obviously the the poor physical infrastructure and urban congestion are major problems in Indian cities. And many Indians, or NRIs as they are called, non-resident Indians, they know this. And this is another situation here. It will also mean creating a better ecosystem for the highly educated to thrive, quote, including elevating the scale of R&D, research and development, and education back home, unquote, says Mr. Baru, precisely the stuff that made the US such a big draw for Indian talent over the past half a century. This was reported on BBC. Now, Bank of America and Wells Fargo to close all 7,700 locations for 24 hours in weeks, and that is with regards to a Columbus holiday. And this is where I wanted to point this out, because sometimes when you look at this news, sometimes like a clickbait, what have you, well, that is not something that the banks are shutting down or anything is happening. It's just the Christopher Columbus, the Columbus holiday, which banks have observed. It was created in 1968 to observe the day Christopher Columbus arrived in the US. But some banks will be open. So I'm just saying, in this fast pace of life, sometimes people, they only look at the news, and then sometimes it creates chaos, unnecessary chaos, shutdown, and that is only for the Columbus Day. Chase Bank told the USN that it will remain open. Additionally, one of the only major banks to remain open is TD Bank, which is Canadian. There is also a situation with the government shutdown, with some furloughed workers may not get back pay. That's what Trump has said, although law requires back pay for furloughed government workers. So this is what the law says. And controller shortages happening in New York, Denver, Phoenix, at major airports. Controllers shortages cause delays at major airports like Houston, IH, Dallas, Albuquerque, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, Boston. And Transportation Secretary, as reported by the NBC News, Sean Duffy said Monday at New York International Airport that there had been a slight increase in sick calls since the government shutdown began nearly a week ago. Quote, our priorities are safety, unquote, Duffy said. And he further said, quote, and so if we have additional sick calls, we will reduce the flow consistent with the rate that's safe for the American people, unquote. Delays spread to major airports across the U.S. as shutdown drags on. Travelers in Chicago and Nashville were experiencing delays Tuesday night, and then Duffy further said, quote, now what they think about as they are controlling our airspace is, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How do I make my car payment? I have a couple of kids at home. How do I put food on the table? Question mark. That's what Duffy asked. And he further said, quote, I'm working 6 days a week, so I have to take a second job and drive Uber when I'm already exhausted from doing a job that's already stressful, to think about how I can make extra money because the government may not provide me a paycheck. Question mark. That's what Duffy said. And he is in a very difficult situation because he needs to run the transportation system all across the US, including airplanes and airports, with the NTCs and with the ATCs, air traffic controllers, and where the ATCs are already under pressure, and now these delays. And despite the delays, the FAA had not issued, quote, staffing trigger, unquote, Tuesday that would reduce the number of flights in and out of airports that don't have enough controllers to handle the traffic safety. So it's working, but then again, it's where you have to ask the administration of these airports and people who are making these decisions, and at the same time, the Secretary of Transportation, Mr. Duffy. As you can see, cancel, all this has been reported on arrivals board on Hollywood Burbank Airport on Monday, and then we do not have a luxury of time, quote unquote, he said in a news conference at New York. We do not have time to waste on the unnecessary distractions created by the shutdown, and our message is clear, end the shutdown, he added. And on Tuesday evening, Nashville International Airport was experiencing delays that average around 2 hours because of staffing issues, the FAA said on its website. So this is what's happening. And here is the news between the tense situation of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I will just say this, that more than 50 to 60 people has been reported in security forces on the Pakistani side. They're saying, some reports are saying 25 to 30 on the Pakistani side. And then on the other side, on the Afghan side, on the TTP, which is the Tehreek Taliban Pakistan, on their side, 50 to 60 people have died. So a lot of people have lost their lives. And now this is where in the local stations and what the defense minister or the defense secretary of Afghan is saying that if Pakistan would attack next time inside their border and do any kind of violations of crossing their border, then they will get a very strong message, and they will have to give that message. So there's a very tense situation between the government of Pakistan and the government of Afghanistan, and then obviously between those people who are living on the close to the borders on the Pakistani side as well on the Afghanistan side. And as you can see, some fighters, the Taliban's as well as their security forces as well, or their army professional, because they have both. They have their official as well as sort of paramilitary or non-official type forces as well, and they are part of that Afghan government. And then you can see the borders and those were also shut down because of this tense situation. Qatar, the government of Qatar expresses concern over border tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan, calls for dialogue and restraint. That was issued on October 11th. The state of Qatar expresses concern over the escalation in tension in the border areas between the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Afghanistan and the potential repercussions for the security and stability of the region. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs urges both sides to prioritize dialogue, diplomacy, and restraint, and to work toward containing differences in a manner that helps reduce tension and avoid escalation in order to achieve regional security and stability. The ministry reiterates the state of Qatar's support for all regional and international efforts aimed at strengthening international peace and security, and affirms its commitment to ensuring security and prosperity for the brotherly Pakistani and Afghan peoples. As anyone who is watching and listening, two brotherly states are fighting with each other. It's a shame, but it's happening in front of us. And then here is in Arabic, where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has also laid out a very similar message in Arabic, and it's Wizarat-e Kharija, which basically means the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Arabic. James Comey to be arraigned after Trump called for his prosecution. He is already arraigned. He has pleaded not guilty. What are the charges? Making a false statement, obstruction of a congressional proceeding. Comey to be arraigned, that was a few days ago, and he has been arraigned now, and he has pleaded not guilty. So he is the former FBI director. So this is what's happening in terms of the U.S. international news, and there's a lot more happening, but continue to stay tuned not only on social media, but if you're not subscribed my YouTube channel, please do. And it's not possible because of our key advertisers and sponsors. I would like to thank Affordable Insurance of Texas for all your insurance needs, commercial needs, business insurance needs, and any kind of health insurance needs, homeowners insurance, and for any kind of auto insurance, get a quote. And by calling 713-785-4000, 713-785-4000, just pick up the phone, call, and you can visit them on the web, aitinsurance.com, www.aitinsurance.com, 713-785-4000, Affordable Insurance of Texas. Also would like to thank our key advertiser and sponsor, Group Saudi Palace, there at Hillcroft. I was there today. A lot of people are shopping because of Diwali, because of also events happening in different communities, and especially in the Smiley community as well, because Prince Khan, who is the son of late Prince Karim Khan, and who is now the spiritual leader of the Smiley community, he is also be visiting the Houston area very soon. So a lot of people are shopping, and then it's also the season towards weddings and different types of events. So you can get bride's clothing and groom's clothing, formal evening gowns for boys, girls, men, women, and for all age groups. Huge collection, and a lot of people go there under 1,000 square footage, and you can see beautiful dresses there, and also on the screen, groupsaudi.com. You can call them 832-267-0065. You can call this number. They can ship it to you anywhere in the States, 832-267-0065. Visit on Harvin at Hillcroft. You cannot miss it. Roop Sari Palace, roopsari.com. And I would also like to thank Prince Jewelers Houston. So any kind of dresses you wear and without beautiful jewelry and gold jewelry and all different kinds of heavy sets, medium and everyday sets and earrings to chains and necklaces, you name it. This is just a small glimpse and sample of a huge variety and at very good rates and very good collection. You can even sell gold. You can buy gold and buy all different kinds of jewelry by many different kinds of designers that they have at Prince Jewelers Houston. And their number is 281-777-1457, 281-777-1457, or just visit them at 5901 Hillcroft and Hillcroft Shopping Plaza. You just go there, mention my name, Zishan, and Zishan on air, and go to Prince Jewelers Houston. So I would like to thank Prince Jewelers Houston as our sponsor and advertiser as well. So with that, I would like to sign off from social media and continue with the legacy media. And again, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. And again, thank you so much for joining.